Hey everybody, it is Ryan and we are back out here at my place, and right now I'm flying the drone out in my field actually, and I'm heading down to the pond, or at least what's left of the pond, out back in the field. Now on this farm we have three main crops. We have hay, which is directly below the drone. We have soybeans, which is the next strip down. And above that we have the corn. And as you can tell, this farm is contoured. Contours were big back in the 80s to help slow erosion. And we are coming up on what's left of the pond. So it's been pretty dry these last couple of years, especially with 2012. And back in 2012, this pond dried up substantially, and it used to be a large triangle that filled much of this lower grass bottom down here that you see. But over the last 4 years, we haven't gotten as much precipitation as we usually get, and the pond's been drying up. This pond was built back in the 1930s. It was part of a conservation project that was made by the government to help put people back to work. And what they did was they went around and made ponds like these with levees to help slow down water that escapes from the fields. And personally, I'm a huge fan of retention ponds like these because they hold back all of the nutrients that might run off from your fields, which is huge because you want to try to slow down your erosion, and by putting in a retention pond like that, not a lot of water escapes, so you won't get your phosphorus runoff that can go off into the creeks. And doing stuff like this with the ponds helps decrease your amount of soil that is in your local rivers, like the Mississippi. They call it the Muddy Mississippi for a reason. It's because farms like these have a lot of erosion going on, or a lot of erosion problems on them, and with those erosion problems comes phosphorus runoff and other nutrient runoff, and that can be a huge problem because phosphorus is a huge factor in fish kills because algae uses it to take oxygen out of the water, and algae thrives on it. That's why we have the dead zone down in the Gulf of Mexico. So your retention ponds sort of help with that. And so do your contours. Not all of our fields are contoured, but many of them are. So I'm going to head back. We're going to take a right turn. More field down there. This is all our hay. Well, most of our hay, I should say. And I actually did one of these farm tours back in the winter when we first got the drone, but everything was frozen over and you couldn't really see that much. So now that everything's greened up, I can kind of take you for a tour around, show you the boundaries of the farm. Now, what we're coming up on is the pasture. Up in the upper right, you can see the cattle over there. We'll get to them. Now, this farm is shaped like a giant L. So we're going to go to the southernmost point on this farm. We have a creek down in the bottom. Now, what you're looking at now is the southernmost tip. Actually, I take that back. This is one of the southernmost tip. This is the southernmost tip with the creek. Now, if I point upwards, you can see the fence line coming down the hill there. And we have a small chunk off of that. Everything to the right over here is ours except for the tree line up on top. This is the westernmost edge of this pasture. There are two main pastures on this farm, and this is what I just call the big pasture because it's slightly bigger than the other one. And this pasture has 4 hillsides, which you're looking at. You can see that the cattle are on the second hillside from the right, We're gonna go buzz the tower, as they say. Let's go have a little fun with the cows. Now Wisconsin is, if you get the right time of year, it is beautiful for its low-lying fog. And you just have to get the right conditions, and usually mid-August is the best time because you wake up in the morning and sometimes when conditions are right, you'll get fog that is rising up off of the creek because I believe the creek is warmer than the surrounding air since it cools off in the middle of the night. And you get your fog. So now we're flying over the cattle. You can see the cows with the white stripes around their bellies. Those are our Bolingos. Now some people don't really know the distinction between Guernseys and Bolingos. We have Bolingos. Guernseys have longer hair. They look the same. They're called Oreo cows. And my parents actually went out to North Dakota to get all these way back when. I couldn't tell you when they did, but it was back before, probably before I was born. So we're going to fly over to the wooded pasture. We refer to this as the Klein pasture. And usually when we let the cows out, what we'll do is we'll take them out to the Klein pasture and we'll leave them out there for the first half of the summer. Then once they get it all grubbed off, we'll drop them out into the big pasture and they can grub it off. And you can see on these hillsides where we've cut, because in some of our previous videos we cut these 4 hillsides. So this tree line right here is the border between the big pasture and the Klein pasture. I'm not sure if there will be any cows out in the Klein pasture, but we're going to fly out there and I'll show you the border. So since this farm is shaped like a giant L, the farm keeps going to the county road on the far side over there. We'll head over there. But this pasture has a bunch of small logging trails that run through it. You can see the cows follow them pretty good. You can see the cow trails actually directly below there. That's kind of funny. So, on the left, there's our corner. It's kind of difficult to see, but you can see a change in the pastures. And then this border of the pasture continues that direction until it takes another right, and that field of corn directly in front of the camera there that you see is not ours. The corn that you see, that kind of corner patch way over there, that would be my 11 acres. Not all of my acres, but some of them. So I'm going to fly back down to the creek and over to my 11 acres. You can see that my corn out there is doing fantastic. It looks sweet. And this is the northernmost point on this farm. It meets the county road. And sometimes you get people that go in out there, but little do they know that I'm always watching. Neighbors have got a cabin back in there right along our fence line. And then the farm just continues back. So the farm that I'm on is kind of secluded. It's away from the highway. I believe the highway is right back there. You can see Rockville, which my parents live. You can see them over there. That is the main farm. I can't really point it out that easily. I could fly over there, I guess, but it wouldn't. No, I'm not going to fly back there because then I couldn't see the drone. So I'm going to leave the drone where I can see it. But the main farm of Rockville is back over there to the upper right. And you can see all the contours over there. Those would be us. Now earlier I mentioned that the pond was a part of a conservation project. Rockville also has another. It's a spillway, I call it, and it's supposed to help erosion. I'll cover that in one of my future videos. But this farm has actually 2 ponds, and the other one dried up already. Now over here you can see that the steer lot, which I made my brush cutting video on. But you see this tree out in the middle of the field. That would be where the other retention pond would be, as I call them. However, it dried up because it doesn't have as wide of a land base to capture rainwater and snow off of. So it dried up faster. I've been noticing over the past few years that our weather just hasn't been the same as it was in previous years. Usually we have this, you know, when they say we're going to get rain, we get it for days upon days, and it's never too hard. It's just a nice light rain. But that's kind of changed because, well, I think it's global warming. I think the weather we're seeing is more along the lines of what you'd normally see out in Nebraska. But you know, we're seeing more tornadoes and stuff too, which is kind of surprising, and it's never really a good thing. But I know someone asked me if I've been noticing effects of global warming, and I think that's part of an effect of global warming. Out in the soybeans, you can see some depressed spot of soybeans. That would be where the sprayer ran over some spots. Not that big of an issue. Usually the soybeans bounce right back, but that's why you can see them come in and out, because they drove over. Now next year we plan on combining a lot of these strips. I'm not really sure if we're planning on it for this farm, I guess. I know we are planning it for Rockville. We're going to be doubling up the strips because of one of our future surprises. But this farm might stay because, or at least half this farm might stay regular contours because of the hay. We don't really want to dig any of that up within the next few years, or so long as it's doing us good. So I hope you guys enjoyed this farm tour. I'm bringing her back around and bringing her down. This video was taken with the new drone, which is 4K video, and you'll probably notice a bit difference if you're watching in high quality. So if you guys have any other questions, be sure to leave a question in the comments and I'll get to them if I can, or get to them in a future video. Your questions always give me ideas for awesome future videos. So that should be about it, guys. Thanks for watching, and be sure to check out my other videos, and I'll see you next time.